On August 8, 1948, in McMinnville, Larry Rich was born into a family of teachers and coaches. His father, Loyal Rich, taught and coached at McMinnville High School from 1946 to 1982, and from about age 3 on, Loyal was grooming Larry to be a very versatile athlete. Loyal taught Larry everything he knew about the game of football, basketball, and baseball, which instilled a passion inside of Larry for all sports. He quickly developed into an outstanding baseball player who was not limited to only one position. Larry emerged as one of the best all-around players in McMinnville youth sports. As a sophomore class president, Larry competed at the varsity level in all 3 major sports. The football team took 3rd in league, as Larry was the backup quarterback but started as the defensive safety as well as the extra point kicker. He was a starting point guard on a very young basketball team that set a new school record for total points in a season. Larry's experience in baseball truly shined that season as he played several positions and led the team in hitting with a batting average of .466. The team, coached by Larry's father, won 6 and lost 2, which was good for 2nd place in league. During his junior football season, Larry stepped into the starting quarterback role and the team took off, going undefeated in league. His athleticism allowed him to be a great scrambling quarterback who threw and ran the option equally well. Larry's tremendous play earned him the Junior MVP award and the team a spot in the state playoffs. In their first game, the Grizzlies were down by 7 late in the second quarter when Larry received a bone-crushing hit which kept him down in pain. Like a true leader, Larry persevered in the second half, scoring both touchdowns himself and leading the Grizzlies to the upset victory over the number 3 ranked Hillsboro Spartans. In the state semifinal game, Larry's great play continued as he completed 14 of his 26 passes, totaling 173 yards. Larry did all he could to keep the Bears in the game, passing for 2 touchdowns and rushing for 1, but in the end, McMinnville suffered their first loss of the season at the hands of Corvallis. That basketball season also went very well for Larry and the Grizzlies as the high-powered offense stormed to a 16-win and 2-loss record, earning the league championship. Larry received all-league honorable mention and the team achieved a spot in the state tournament. After a 2-point opening round loss to Jefferson, the Bears bounced back in their second game with a furious fourth-quarter rally to beat Albany at the buzzer. They finished an exciting year after another close defeat to Pendleton, with a 1-win and 2-loss record in the state tournament, making them 17-4 overall. In his junior baseball season, Larry mainly started at third base where he achieved all-league honors. However, he also filled in some at pitcher where he earned the second-best ERA on the team, while leading the Bears in RBIs and home runs as they achieved second place in league. Coming into his senior football season, Larry and the Grizzlies looked to build upon their great success from the previous year. Individually, Larry again shined as the Bears destroyed their first 8 opponents of the regular season, with their slimmest margin of victory being 7 points only one time. Even though they lost their last game of the season by just 2 points, the Grizzlies still achieved the league championship and the right to return to the state playoffs. In the quarterfinal game, the Bears traveled to Gresham to take on the Reynolds Lancers. When they arrived, the condition of the field was more like a swamp due to some harsh weather, causing some McMinnvillians to dub the game the Mud Bowl. As a result, the Grizzlies' passing game was severely hindered and the Bears lost a very tough physical battle by a touchdown to the Lancers, who went on to take second in state. Larry ended a tremendous football career at Mac High by winning the league's scoring title, as well as earning all-league first-team selections for both offense and defense. He received all-state second-team honors as a quarterback and was chosen to play in Oregon's Shrine All-Star game. As the undisputed leader of the basketball team, Larry looked to guide the Bears back into the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Grizzlies experienced some tough breaks as they lost 4 games by 3 points or less during the regular season, costing them the league title by only 1 game. As the team's second leading scorer, Larry finished his basketball career with his best season yet as he captured all-league first-team honors as well as an all-state honorable mention selection. Larry and the baseball team both finished out the year strong as the team won 7 of their last 8 games to take second in league. And perhaps this baseball season, Larry's versatility shined brightest as he not only led the team in every hitting category with an average of .403, but he also led the team in pitching with an incredible ERA of 0.984. Rich earned all-league first-team honors as well as a selection to play in the state All-Star Baseball Series held in Eugene. Larry led his team in hitting as they swept their series by winning all 3 games.
I always felt that baseball was Larry's best sport, and his dad was a great coach and a great father as far as mentoring him in baseball.
You know, of all the kids that have gone through school and of all these kids that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame, he was as outstanding and fine, as versatile athlete as anybody we've ever had at Mac High.
From age 8 on, Larry was always the best player on the team. I mean, he was our best pitcher, our best hitter, our best catcher, our best infielder, and our best outfielder. And we had other good players, but he wasn't a person who was the best player that made the other players feel inferior. He was somebody that always tried to fit in and wasn't, he was a guy that was always encouraging to the last player on the team. He was easy to play with. He wasn't somebody that was always talking about his own accomplishments. He was much more into the team's accomplishments. And
it didn't matter what the sport was. Everyone looked up to Larry for leadership and his enthusiasm. Larry always, you count on Larry giving a best effort every time he played.
It was like having another assistant coach on the floor. And in baseball, it was the same way. He was a switch hitter in baseball and the best baseball player in Oregon his senior year. I'm sure of that.
I watched Larry play and played with him from the time we were in kindergarten all the way through school, and he was one of those people that I don't think I ever saw him really fail at anything. You know, if you needed a basket in the last 10 seconds of the game, you knew Larry was going to make it. If you needed a base hit in the bottom of the seventh, he was the guy that always was going to come through. He was a person that was really successful, but probably the thing that he should be best remembered for was he was somebody that was fun to play with. You know, I think and particularly as a coach, I've got to watch a lot of kids once in a while who are real good players that may not be fun for their teammates to play with. Larry was somebody who was always fun to play with.
After graduating from McMinnville High School as an NHS member in 1966, Larry received a full athletic scholarship to play football and baseball at Oregon State University. He quickly emerged as one of the standout players on both freshman teams during his first year at OSU. In his sophomore football season, Larry earned a starting spot as a defensive safety. He also competed on the special teams, doing such things as kickoff and punt returns, as well as having the responsibility of holding the long snap on extra points and field goal attempts. Larry was a big contributor on a Beaver team that would forever be remembered as one of their all-time great teams. The sophomore standout averaged 13.4 yards per punt return, which is still the fifth best average in Oregon State's history. The team was 3-2 when they traveled to Purdue to take on the number 2 ranked team in the nation. With over 60,000 screaming Purdue fans in attendance, the Beavers upset the heavily favored Boilermakers by 8 points. Just 2 weeks later, OSU again traveled to another hostile environment in order to play the new second-ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins. The Beavers pulled off another upset of sorts as they stunned a Rose Bowl crowd of over 50,000 by frustrating the favored Bruins in a 16-all tie. The schedule only got tougher for Oregon State when they returned home for the following week's game against the undefeated and number 1 ranked team in the nation, the USC Trojans. The game took place in front of a crowd of almost 42,000, which at that time was the largest crowd ever, and it's still the 10th largest crowd in Oregon State's history. Beaver fans were delighted as their defense swarmed Heisman Trophy candidate O.J. Simpson.
During that game, every time the ball was handed to O.J. Simpson, you held your breath. I mean, you just knew at any time he could break loose and go all the way.
With both teams held scoreless late in the second quarter, Larry held the 30-yard field goal attempt by Mike Haggard, which would be the only score of the game. The Beavers dominated the second half as their defense never let OJ and the Trojan offense pass the Oregon State 44-yard line. The one time Simpson was able to break away for what looked like a sure touchdown, Larry assisted his teammate Jess Lewis with the game-saving tackle. This was USC's only loss of the season on their way to a national championship. After this thrilling victory, Oregon State was finally starting to get the national recognition that they deserved, as they became the number 8 ranked team in the country. Time magazine dedicated a page to them, dubbing them the Oregon State Spoilers, but history would forever remember them as the Giant Killers. They wrapped up their Cinderella season with a 14-0 victory at the University of Oregon to finish the year as the nation's 7th best team. This is the second highest ranking Oregon State football has ever received. After finishing a football season to always remember, Larry looked forward to his first year of baseball at the varsity level. Perhaps still riding the football high, Rich stepped right into the starting center fielder position and had an excellent sophomore season. He led the team in doubles as the Beavers finished a strong season 10 games above 500 and were nationally ranked as high as 5th during the year. In his junior campaign, Larry and the Beavers looked to have another outstanding football season. They began the year as the 8th ranked team in the nation, and they would stay ranked in the top 20 for the majority of the season. Versatile Larry, who is now the team's extra point kicker, improved greatly from the previous year. His high school experience as a scrambling quarterback gave him the ability to read plays, and it really paid dividends now as one of the Oregon State's defensive anchors. He set new school records for pass interceptions in a game with 3, punt returns in a game, punt return yards in a season with 264, and his record for the most punt return yards in a game with 121 is still the current all-time record. Larry's tremendous season earned him an All-Coast Team Honorable Mention selection as well as Oregon State's Most Improved Defensive Player award. Another great season ended with a 7-win and 2-loss record as the Beavers finished the year ranked as the 14th best team, which is the 6th best end of the season ranking in Oregon State's history. Even though Larry performed well in his junior baseball season, the team struggled as they finished the year with just a few more losses than wins. Entering his final football season, the team had lost a number of talented seniors, which resulted in low expectations given the previous 2 successful seasons. Now as one of the senior leaders on the team, Larry and the Beavers went on to prove their doubters wrong. Oregon State had some big wins, including one on the road over 18th ranked Arizona, as well as winning their last 3 games of the season, finishing with a record of 6-4. However, the story of the season was Larry's great play. He tied his record for most pass interceptions in a game with 3 from the year before, while breaking his own record for punt return yards in a season with over 300 yards. His record for most punt returns in a season with 35 is still the current school record. Larry finished the season 4th in pass interceptions and 1st in punt returns and punt return yardage in the Pac-8 conference, helping OSU's team defense to a 2nd place conference ranking. More impressively, for the first half of the season, Larry was 2nd in the nation for punt returns and punt return yardage, while setting new school records for career totals in both of those categories. In the end, it's fitting that number 26 was and still is a part of 26 individual and team top 10 records at Oregon State. He's still 6th all-time in pass interceptions, 5th all-time in punt return average with 10.5 yards per game, and he has the 8th longest punt return in school history at 65 yards. But perhaps his proudest record is that he was 3-0 all-time against the Ducks, with 2 of the 3 victories taking place in Eugene. Larry Rich ended an amazing football career that started in his father's backyard and finished at Oregon State University with a career record of 20 wins, 9 losses, and 1 tie. Larry finished off a wonderful stint at Oregon State as he was again one of the baseball team's leading hitters with an average of .333. Rich helped lead the Beavers back to respectability as they finished the season 4 games over 500 and 2nd in the conference standings.
He was a 3-year starter in baseball that I think, had he chosen to do so, had opportunities to play professional baseball past college. I mean, he was obviously that good.
Upon graduating from Oregon State University with an education degree in 1970, Larry followed his father's footsteps by becoming a teacher and coach. He took a job at Douglas High in Winston, Oregon, where he taught and coached for the next 3 years. In 1978, Larry and his wife, Mary Ellen, whom he met at Oregon State, moved back to McMinnville. He joined longtime friend Gary Neuschwanger in his construction business, where he still does part-time work today. Larry also has his own business as a decorative welder, and he makes metal tree sculptures part-time, which can be found in several shops and homes in the area. From coaching his 2 sons, Casey and Corey, in sports, as his father did for him, to building brand new tennis courts at McMinnville High School when he was their head tennis coach, Larry's passion for athletics has stayed evident over the years. In 1992, the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame remembered the Beavers' 1967 Giants killer team by inducting them into their Hall of Fame. OSU later followed suit when they inducted the Giant Killers as part of their 1997 Hall of Fame class. Oregon has certainly not forgotten about the success that Larry was a part of, and neither has McMinnville.